This weekend, the second half of the film adaptation of Wicked opened in theaters. Now it's time to rank all the Wizard of Oz movies from the worst to the best. Now, looking at IMDb, there are literally hundreds of versions of Wizard of Oz, ranging from smaller TV movies to anime versions to VeggieTales to Muppets to Tom and Jerry. So to keep this simple, I'm only ranking the 6 theatrically released versions. But if there's a version that I didn't include that you really enjoy, let me know in the comments. Let's get started. In last place we have The Wiz. Now I actually really like the songs in this movie. I dare say I like these songs better than the songs in the original film, and I think the musical numbers were choreographed, but that's really the only thing about it I like. The original Wizard of Oz still holds up even over 85 years later, and doesn't feel tied to any specific time period. This one does. It's incredibly dated, feeling very late 70s, and it just feels like watching a Broadway show instead of a movie, and it all looks very cheap. Dorothy's an adult in this movie, so she doesn't have the childish wonder she's supposed to have. The world of Oz just looks like someone's neighborhood, not this fantastical magical land. The Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion aren't modeled after people she knows in her world. There's 1970s slang throughout the dialogue. The Scarecrow quotes a lot of famous people, which, again, takes you out of the fantasy world. And the way they killed the witch in this version is stupid. There's a fire alarm right in the middle of her throne room, and none of her minions thought to pull it. It has great music, but the plot and direction do not work.
Good, now say the first thing that pops into your brain.
I don't want to touch sandpaper. I like The Wiz.
Number 5, Return to Oz. This movie lives up to its reputation of being infamously dark. One of the opening scenes is subjecting Dorothy, a child, to shock therapy. You can tell that Tim Burton probably took influence from this movie when he did Alice in Wonderland, because there's a lot of elements from this film that he used in that film, such as everybody thinking the main character is crazy for her stories about the fantasy world she comes to visit, the villain being obsessed with people's heads. You can tell this came out around the same time as the Disney movies Watcher in the Woods, Witch Mountain, and Something Wicked This Way Comes, because for some reason in the 70s and 80s, Disney decided to make some disturbing live-action kids films. I do still think this is a pretty good attempt at a sequel, even though it's not as good as the original. I still found some things to appreciate. Number 4, Wicked for Good. From a filmmaking standpoint, it's very well made. It has great cinematography. Most of the performances have a lot of emotion behind them, but it's the writing and pacing that I found to be weak. The first part had a pretty good gap between the songs, and the songs were memorable and upbeat, and even rewatching it I had a good number of them stuck in my head, but with this one, not only is the film not really given much room to breathe because there is such a short wait between the songs, but most of the songs are either reprises of songs from part 1 with different lyrics, or just really boring. There was a total of 2 songs in this film that I actually enjoyed, and even then, one of them is essentially just a ripoff of Kill the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, or Savages from Pocahontas. I was also very disappointed with the much darker, more mature direction this film took. It is a drastic departure from part 1. If you saw part 1 on a nice family outing and you have younger kids that are eagerly waiting part 2, I'm sorry to say this film really pushes the PG rating. Not only in terms of how bleak it gets, but also how suggestive it can get in certain scenes as well. Yeah, the opening number of part 1 is basically stated that the witch's mom had an affair, but it was done in a way that I think would fly over kids' heads. But here there's a slow jam musical number between Alphabet and another character that's very suggestive with the choreography, and when the musical number ends, you see that he's shirtless and it's implied that she also is. Compared to part 1, that's pretty jarring. On top of that, the motivations for Alphabet just become incredibly stupid. The first one, you can argue, was a cautionary tale about how she was a victim of prejudice and made some very bad choices, but here, it throws that out the window and makes her a misunderstood hero. The Wicked Witch of the West. One of the most iconic villains in cinema. A villain so scary that an episode of Sesame Street featuring her was banned, and Mr. Rogers had to have the actress on his show to show kids she's actually a nice lady who's just playing dress-up. No, she's a misunderstood hero. Films like Joker and Cruella are examples of how to do this kind of story correctly, where you don't sympathize with them in the end. This one you do, and you never actually see her do anything that wicked or understand why the Ozians had motivation to kill her, other than believing lies and propaganda by the people in charge. She's not the Wicked Witch of the West, she's the misunderstood Witch of the West, but I guess that title wouldn't be as enticing. Overall, I just did not enjoy this one as much. Number 3, Oz the Great and Powerful. This is a pretty worthy prequel to the original, taking inspiration from it by having the first 20 minutes be black and white, and having certain people in Oz be parallels to people Oz knows back home. It's got a good cast, but what holds it back is attempting to be Wicked. Except, unlike Wicked, which was a cautionary tale about the downfall of somebody because of her choices, based on how society treated her. Instead, the witch in this version is a sympathetic villain who becomes evil because she's restricted to becoming that way. Not all the pieces in this version quite fit together, but it's still an entertaining watch. Number 2, Wicked. Unlike certain movie musical adaptations where it just looks like a bigger budget version of the musical, this actually looks really cinematic. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo have a good dynamic with each other, and the actor who plays Fiera really hams it up in the best way. Now, while Ariana Grande does give a good performance, it just feels like she was copying Kristen Chenoweth from the Broadway version. The way she talks, her tone of voice, all feel very reminiscent of Chenoweth, instead of making the character and songs her own. And while Jeff Goldblum gives a good performance as the Wizard, he was clearly only cast based on his namesake, rather than his ability to sing. And even his performance as the Wizard just feels like every other character he plays. The movie conveys its anti-prejudice message in a way that doesn't feel heavy-handed or preachy, and it doesn't try to make the witch a sympathetic villain, which is why they screwed it up in the second one. So, yeah, I really like part 1 a lot better than part 2.
Hold on! This is my favorite. Hold on! Her sister was a witch, right? And what was her sister? A princess! The Wicked Witch of the East, bro!
I'm gonna stab him.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong?
It's my favorite
She
movie.
wore a crown and she came down in a bubble,
I'm
dog!
not fighting with you.
Grow up,
fighting
bro!
with you.
Grow up!
Get educated, but...
And then number 1, of course, is the original Wizard of Oz. Like I said, this is an 85-year-old movie that still feels timeless. Margaret Hamilton's portrayal of the witch is so iconic. She's one of the great movie villains. And of course, number 1 is The Wizard of Oz. Like I said, this is an 85-year-old movie that still feels timeless. Everybody's performances still feel timeless. When this came out, filmmaking was still a relatively new idea. So the fact this movie is still great today as when it came out, has been beloved for generations, will continue to be beloved for generations, and is a testament to its impact. It's one of the most iconic and greatest films of all time, so it comes in at number 1. We're going to share the Wizard of Oz movies, including ones maybe I didn't include but you like. I'll see you next time.